Hello, is this thing on? We had a little technical difficulty there. Hi, I'm Steve Lowry, editor of the Hilo. Don't know if anyone told you, but Christmas is coming. It's been all over television and newspapers and stuff like that. I know in this kind of year, the pandemic year, a lot of things are being put off. Christmas is relentless. It's coming, ladies and gentlemen. And nothing says Christmas more than Christmas shopping. And that's why we've invited Zoe Engstrom, a lecturer at Cal State Long Beach in consumer affairs, who kind of specializes in shopping and shoppers and all that kind of stuff. Zoe, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Happy holidays.
Now, Zoe seems cool, but she's a little nervous because she does tons of local television. She's quite the star, but they only ask her for like 3 minutes of stuff. And here we want 20 to 30 minutes of rock solid stuff. So Zoe, you're on the clock. Here we go.
Got it. No pressure.
None. Right. This is going to be a shopping season like none of us have ever seen. I feel like I say that, this will be a 4th of July like none of us have ever seen. This will be a school year like we've never seen. But again, so what are things that are going to be different this year, do you think? What are we going to see different? I'm assuming it's going to be a lot more online shopping.
That's all. We already know the traffic in stores over this last, Black Friday, Thanksgiving weekend was down over 52%. Wow. So a lot. So if you're a small business, depending on traffic only, you're not online, you're impacted. So, that's the shift. Now we saw that, Steve, before this year, we saw a shift to online, but online shoppers are up 67%. We have curbside pickup. This is a huge shift to online shopping. People aren't as comfortable. We aren't only in a pandemic, we're in a spike in a pandemic. Yeah. So it wasn't just that we were in a pandemic, we hit a time where right when Thanksgiving was hitting and Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Small Business Saturday, don't forget that. Yeah. When they were all hitting, we hit a spike and we got all the warnings. And as you know, LA County shut down outdoor dining, which didn't help shopping. So that's it. It's a shift to online. And just to punctuate that, yesterday, Cyber Monday, saw 12.7 billion in sales. And that yesterday was the highest shopping day in history in a pandemic. Yes.
And so as you point out, so this has been, even without the pandemic, this shift, incremental or actually quite large, to online shopping has been coming for what, the past 5 to 10 years?
It has. And, there's always people who are not online savvy, still paying bills through snail mail, and that's fine. Each consumer has their preference, whether it's online or whether it's in person. There are people that don't shop on Amazon or Shopify, and that's fine. They like the in-person experience. They're more comfortable with it. But this forced consumers, those consumers that were shopping in person, it forced them to take a look at online shopping. So it's a practice run, if you will, for the new customers. And so in the future, now that people have tried it out that didn't in the past, it seems like everybody's already shopping online, but there was a big chunk that weren't. They now know how to shop online, and we will see them shopping online in the future. So it's not only going to shift for the pandemic, but you're going to see people comfortable in the future. And, it's not just holiday shopping. Walmart is reporting that their sales are up online, but it's also that they're throwing in groceries, and alcohol is up right now. So there are other items that are being thrown in with shopping online, but definitely the shift.
It's like so much like so many people are working at home, for instance, right now. And a lot of people think that once we get back to, and I use this word advisedly, normal, that a lot of companies are going to be like, why am I spending so much on office rent? You all just stay home and produce from home. It sounds like what you're describing is not just advantageous in the moment, but what we might be seeing even quicker than it was going to come is a completely paradigm change about consumerism, that this is what's going to happen after this is not going to go back to what it was before.
Right. Well, like you said, I mean, you're paying high rent for commercial real estate, and all the utilities and services that come with that, cleaning services, the light, pay the light bill, right? So the fear before was that people were not productive at home. You're at home, you're doing your laundry or you're, gardening or cooking, or you're not actually working. And so this was a forced test. And it turns out people are productive at home. People can get work done at home.
That's right.
So I mean, it's not ideal in every situation. And I actually think there are different consumers. So we're seeing this spike in shopping that we're talking about, holiday shopping. But you have consumers that were easily able, Steve, to shift from working in the office to working at home. Their paycheck stayed the same. Their lifestyle shifted a little bit at home. They're doing a lot of Zoom meetings, but they're still at work. And then there's another set of consumers that lost their jobs. Think about the hospitality industry, the airline industry, the restaurant industry. There are a lot of people who work and on unemployment. So there's two different sets of consumers. That's why way back in October, we were talking about what's going to happen with shopping. I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me if it was down instead of up, because of all of the change in the workplace and people not working.
I was going to ask you then, were you surprised by that 12 billion on Monday, given so much anxiety about financial concerns for families? That's a huge number.
I was not surprised this weekend. The second week of October, I was surprised. Second week of October was Amazon Prime Day or days, it was October 13, 14, I believe, and sales were up 36% on Amazon for Amazon Prime days. And so that was a little sneak peek. It was sort of the launch of the holiday season. It used to be Black Friday. We had turkey, we had pumpkin pie, and then, threw the football around or watched football and then got up Friday morning and went shopping for, it was, holiday game on, right? And that, really you were talking about what's the difference this year? The difference is it's not a day anymore. Black Friday or Cyber Monday, it's a season. And that's golden for retailers, right? I mean, they want shopping early. So Amazon Prime Day kicked it off. Then we had Black Friday, largely online. Then again, had Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday was fantastic. Cyber Monday used to be, think back, it used to be that we were done with the holiday, the 4-day holiday, and we went back into the office and we felt a little guilty and sneaky that we got to continue our shopping while we were, at the office. But Cyber Monday, I mean, I woke up this morning and I had emails that said Cyber Monday continues,
no kidding.
Just extended, because they're spreading it out over time instead of it just being a day. So it's a season now. It's not a day anymore. You can shop.
Let me ask you this. People shop differently, don't they, online as opposed to in person? I mean, not only is it a different experience, do you find that people like, for instance, we had a man on who has been pushing for walk areas in the city, closing off streets, things like that. And one of the points he brings up is that if you are walking, you're much more likely to look in a store window and say, oh, look at that. And you might impulse buy. Yeah. Whereas, of course, when you're driving, you're going from point A to point B. In many ways, that's what it's like being online, point A to point B. Is there a disadvantage to some businesses like gift shops, clothing shops, things like that, where you kind of stroll by and you can be moved by emotion to buy things, whereas that's maybe less likely to happen online? Absolutely.
So you have some of that online because they'll have a tab that says deal of the day, and it's working at tapping into your impulses. Ooh, what's the deal of the day? Right. Or people who bought this, so liked this, you've seen that, right? You're shopping, and you buy one thing, you see that at the bottom, so that's all working on your impulses. But just like you're in the store and you throw in, throw things in the basket or throw things in, So for the consumer perspective, you still have the opportunity to shop impulsively online, but the person who loses out on that is the shop owner that doesn't have that traffic. Like I said, we're looking at traffic down over 50%. So the trick is for those small businesses to be online also on Shopify or on a platform that supports them online as well and get that word out. So my recommendation to consumers would be, these shops, these local mom and pop shops, even restaurants, it doesn't have to be shopping for, it could be shopping for food too. They've been in our communities and they've been here for us.
Yeah.
So we need to support them now. And so think about shopping in the shops. Otherwise, you're not going to see those businesses there.
So with your research having to do with consumer kind of habits, we all say that, but then a lot of us end up at Walmart or on Amazon. Yeah. How serious do you think consumers are about saying, I'm willing to spend a little more to support these people who actually live in my community?
I think most shoppers are compassionate. I mean, think about this. So let's say you do have one of those consumers about that has lost their job, somebody in the hospitality industry, in the airline industry, in your own household, a neighbor, somebody that you were going to buy for, and you're shopping for them. You could buy a gift certificate, a gift card at a local restaurant. You're supporting the local restaurant, cutting back, giving it to that person that maybe lost their jobs, cut hours. You're helping them their table. They can use it at a later date, your offset grocery bill. So it's a win for you. You feel fuzzy inside because, you purchased something for somebody. You got your checklist done of buying for who you're buying for, but you're also supporting locally and you're also supporting that person. The only caveat to that is this year, I have been telling people, yes, buy locally, maybe give a gift card. Typically, I'm not a super big fan of gift cards because some of the research out there says that 30 to 40% of gift cards are never used.
Yeah.
They sit in a wallet or we re-gift them. They go around and around from one person to another. So, it's a tricky thing, but I know there are local businesses in my neighborhood that I'd like to support. So it's a compassion this year to help. We haven't had a year like this before where we're trying to keep businesses we'd like to see there next year.
Right. Your students, many of them are probably late teens, early 20s. I'm curious, Zoe, that means they've been driving maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe going out and shopping on their own 4 or 5 years. Are they even aware that there was a time when you couldn't get near a mall, when it was a zoo, when the line was out the door for Santa Claus? Are all those things kind of museum pieces for them?
It's not fair because I return every year in the fall to the academia and the new freshmen on campus and the jaded seniors ready to get out of there, and they stay the same age and I get older every year. They're young. They are babies. They are 17 to 22. I mean, when I tell people I teach college, they're like, wow, how do you do that? I'm like, they're children. Right. But they this group that we're teaching right now, and of course we have students that are not typically aged, but if you're looking at the general population, they rarely were in their life without a phone. They had a life. I mean, we remember a time of, like you said, lines out the door at the mall and a line for Santa. And I think that memory is there for them. It's just been a few years that they've had online completely, but there's less and less. And so that's really the question, will consumers crave that experience? This year's not the year to find out because a lot of people are away from the malls and away from shops because of the virus. Next year will be interesting, assuming we're done with the virus by then, fingers crossed. Then it'll be interesting to see if we return. I think there may even be a big craving to get back to that experience. you want to put on a Santa hat and get your peppermint latte and,
Yeah.
stroll with your friends. And like you said before, see what you might, buy that you weren't thinking of, but, those items that, oh, I need that. And I didn't think I needed it. And get out and have lunch and hear the music and have that experience. It's nostalgic.
Yeah, they said the vinyl record was dead, right? And they've made a strong comeback. And shopping is kind of fun. I'm curious. Let's get back to your students. Do you find as consumers that they are, for lack of a better term, less forgiving? When you and I were young, if we wanted something and Santa couldn't find it at the store, well, Santa couldn't find it at the store. That's not really an argument anymore. For example, my vacuum cleaner broke because the belt broke. I went out Amazon yesterday and got one for $3. I mean, like, there it is. You can literally get everything. Do you find that your young students as consumers are pretty kind of demanding? Like, hey, man, if I want it, you should be able to get it.
Yeah. I mean, that you can find anything online, right? Anything. The only difference is with your vacuum, I think young consumers would buy a new vacuum, not the replacement part.
I almost did that. I was so proud of myself, though, I can't tell you.
I know.
It works.
So it's a different world. They're thinking differently. I think for this holiday season, we're used to getting things or consumers are used to getting things in a day. You know what?
Yeah.
It's 3-day delivery, 2-day delivery. If you have a must-have on your list right now, something that you really need for the holiday season, buy it now. Because the reason we think that Cyber Monday was so big and Black Friday with sales is because people know that there's some shipping lead time. And if you want it in a couple weeks, you need to order it right this week, not a week before. You're not going to order something on the 20th of December and get it in time, or for Hanukkah. You're not going to get it right now. You need to give yourself some shipping lead time. The shipping system is overloaded.
Mm. We were talking earlier that obviously Christmas shopping is not the only thing you study, that you actually go over a lot of things having to do with financial responsibilities with your students.
Yeah.
And you and I were both saying that it's great that this is done at the university level, but this is something that should be done at the grade school level and high school level. Just the idea of how you balance a checkbook, what a mortgage is, all these kinds of things. I just want to talk to you about that a second. I don't think it's going anywhere to say that America is a rather money-obsessed country. Yeah. We tend to be the richest country, the most powerful economic engine in the world. Why do you think it is that we tell everyone, go get a good job, you make some money, buy a house, and yet we virtually don't tell them how this is accomplished at all? Everyone's expected to find it out on the street.
I say many of the disciplines in higher education teach to go out and make money. And I'm going to show you in my classes and in our field how to keep your money.
Right.
Instead of just make it. Because a lot of people, it's estimated 60 to 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So what I tell my students is don't look at the what's happening around you, the commonness. Look for the 30%. Look for the people who are not living to paycheck. How are they doing it? Ask them questions. Be curious. I mean, people love to give advice and tell young folks, how they manage their money or what they do. Yes. So we are taught, like you said, how to solve for why, memorize the periodic table, but we're not taught what points on a loan are or what a good interest rate is for a mortgage. Like you said, should it be a 30-year fixed or a variable? What's the difference? Should we do a 15-year? Those are all the things we talk about, and it's not just money. I mean, we talk about how to buy a car, the responsibility with credit cards. How many, I ask my classes, raise your hand if you have a credit card. How many credit cards do you have? One time I had a student tell me they had 18 credit cards. So, and even if you're not using them, you have open debt, out there. So There's a lot to learn. And that's what we look at as consumer behavior. Are you putting money away in a Roth IRA, a traditional IRA? Are you looking at a company 401k? All of those things. So not only making money, but then what are you doing with your money that you do make? Because you can have wealth, you can have a high amount of money coming in or a moderate amount of money coming in, but it matters what you're doing with it.
Yeah.
Not just making it.
So if you're a parent of a young child, let's say someone who's, I don't know, 10 or 12, when is a like a satisfactory time to start talking to them about money? I think some parents are concerned if they talk about money that somehow the kid is going to become shallow and money obsessed.
Yeah.
But of course, we all just end up clueless and living paycheck to paycheck. When is a good time to start having these conversations, and what kind of conversations can you start out with a kid just to get that conversation going?
Oh my gosh, clueless is the perfect word.
Right.
Because, one of the things we talk about with owning a home with college students is, if you have a mortgage, do you really own your home? So you could drive down the street and somebody could own 20%, have 20% equity. Somebody else could outright own their home. Somebody else could, have 60% equity. I mean, there are many different levels of owning your home. There's a lot that we don't teach and we don't know. At what age? You can start, when they're very young. You have a kindergartner, handle, you're standing behind them and they handle a transaction for a treat, and
okay.
talk about, how much here you have, I'll give you such and such allowance. How much do you want to invest? Put it in a piggy bank. How much do you want to spend and what do you want to spend it on? And how much do you want to save? And just start giving them a little bit of responsibility, but also talking about your own money. I have students that don't know if their parents rented or owned in the house they were in, how much their parents' mortgages. And that's very, like you said, it's our culture. We don't talk about money. Show your kids your statements. This is what we owe. This is what we have coming in. This is, how much we've saved for your college. This is how much we have in our savings, our rainy day money. We have a safety deposit box. This is what's in it. All of those things can be, and not just once a year sit down, but, regular conversations.
Yeah, it is true. You're not doing anybody any favors by hiding this. I guess somewhere down the line it got to be that this somehow was rude to talk about in company, when in fact so much of our lives depend on those facts and those numbers, right?
Well, Steve, we don't go to cocktail parties and say, hey, what's your name? Nice to meet you. And what kind of car do you drive? And, what's your, annual paycheck look like? Right. So it's impolite, but I'm not saying talk to your neighbor about it. Talk to your family. Talk to your parents, have your parents talk to you, start asking questions. Because, just because we can pay for something on a payment plan and make payments doesn't mean we should have actually bought it. Just because we're able to doesn't mean we should.
I feel like you're saying that directly to me, Zoe. I like that. As you can see, Zoe is a huge holiday person. When did all the decorations go up?
Friday, Black Friday. I stayed home.
Look at you. Did you shop?
I didn't. You know what I'm doing this year? So watching my money. I'm half Irish. I'm making Irish cream. So my maiden name's Brian. We're calling it Brian's Irish cream. Homemade recipe with a little Irish whiskey. And I'm putting it in little individual bottles, a bow on it, calling it Brian. Maybe I'll put a little Irish emblem on the front. I'm not sure. And I'm going to do porch drop-offs, but it'll save me some money. And it's personal. And if it's for somebody that doesn't drink, I can leave the wick out of it. But it's my sister's recipe. And I didn't shop this year online. I'm just trying to be cautious and be careful.
That sounds great. So thank you so much for being here. This was really interesting. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
If I don't get a chance, happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too. Thank you, Steve.
And all of you out there, remember what she said, don't get 18 credit cards. And if you're going to spend money on something, make sure you have the money to pay for it. It's kind of a good rule of thought. Want to thank you for joining us. Happy holidays. We'll
Thank
talk
you.
to you soon.